episode of a brand new Let's Play for Minecraft using the Create mod, and I think this is going to be my new home. So while I just have a little look around this new world, a few little notes about this series. So first of all, I'm only running 3 mods on here. I've got the Create mod itself, I've also got JEI just to make looking at items a little bit easier, and I have got a Freecam as well just for going up and looking at builds. Other than that though, it is all of the normal Minecraft stuff, but as I'm sure you've noticed, things do look a little bit different. I've got fluffy leaves and slightly different flowers as well, because I am running the Stay True texture pack. But this is going to be a little world which is going to aim to start from the very beginning, of course, and we're going to work our way up through the Create mod with the aim of creating a fully automated city by the end of it. And at the moment, I am rather liking the look of that cherry hill up there. And now that I'm up here, yep, this is definitely feeling like a good place to make a bit of a city. But obviously that is going to be a little ways in the future, and for now, that little island over there has got starter base written all over it. So though, I'm going to crack on with a little bit of the early game Minecraft grind, and I'll bring you back in when we're ready to start with the Create stuff. And while we're getting a little bit kitted up ready to go down into the mines, I thought I'd just take a moment to have a quick chat about how this series is going to go. So it's worth pointing out the fact that, first of all, this is not going to be a let's go and kill the dragon and get an elytra as fast as we can kind of series, mostly because I don't actually like elytra. I don't use them. I'd much rather try and figure out how to get somewhere on a train than I would do just by flying over there. And in all honesty, the same goes for villages as well. This is going to be a series where I'm going to try not to use villages as much as I can. I think they're really overpowered at the moment. I'm quite looking forward to the new updates when they come in so that you can't just have everybody in one place. But I do already know there is a little village over there and I'm going to try not to use it too much, and I'm certainly not going to use it for mending. And then any villages that we actually make for ourselves, they need to have some kind of a purpose within our world. So for example, if the city is going to be based up there, then perhaps on the plains in the distance we can have our farming villages, which is where all the wheat and things are going to be grown, and we'll be able to transport it around back to the city where it would be sold. So basically, we're going to go as far as we possibly can to try and make this a world that would work. But absolutely nothing is going to work at all until I go and get some iron, so I'll be back shortly. Okay, so I've been down into the mines a little bit, and I've got just a little bit of iron. It's about stack and a half, I reckon, which is about as much tolerance as I've got for grinding these days. And I've got a little bit of other bits and pieces as well, so I've got some andesite. We can make our first andesite alloy, and just a little bit of cobble just to keep us going. But what I really want to get done now is it's time to start cutting down trees a little bit more en masse, because I want to build my start base up on top of this hill, and it's going to be a largely wooden affair considering that is the resource we currently have available to us. So we need to make ourselves a little hand crank and saw combo to cut them down. Now if we have a little look at the recipe for a saw, let's just have a little look at what we need. So we're going to be requiring iron sheets, which at the moment I don't have any access to. Iron ingots, got those, but iron sheets, if we click on those in JEI, you can see it shows that you make them by pressing them down with this big mechanical pressy doodad you can see just there. And so how do we make this one as well? Let's have a look. Mechanical press. There we go. So that is going to be using an entire block of iron for us. Good to know it's going to be nice and expensive, but it's fine. Once you've made it once, you don't need to make it again. So though, let's grab out some of our iron and let's make a little bit of a start. Oh, let's not put a torch on there. Okay, so first things first, let's make our first andesite alloys. So, we bring out a few of our iron nuggets. There we go, we can see all of the recipes starting to roll in now for anything irony. Then we can combine these in a little 2x2 grid just to create a little 4 like that, and then this will give you your andesite alloy. And it's worth getting a little bit of a stack of this together simply because you're going to end up using an awful lot of it as you work your way through this mod. But once we've got that, then we can make a start on making our other bits and pieces now. So what else did we need for our mechanical press? We need shafts, we need andesite casing, and we need the all-important block of iron. Well, block of iron, that's easy. Make that one. What about these shaft though? Let's have a look. Okay, so shafts, we're using 2 of our andesite alloys. So go back into our crafting table. And there we go, we've now got our little shafts as well. And then last thing that we need is going to be an andesite casing, which is reasonably easy to make. You will need some wood, a log of any description. You can place that down and then you can right click on it with an axe. That will strip the wood down for you. Once it's in this state, you can then just right click on it with your andesite alloy, boink, and then it will become an andesite casing for you, which you can pick up with your axe. Just like so. And now, of course, that we've got those bits and pieces, we can combine them all together in order to make our mechanical press. Was it that way around? Yes, it was. There we go. So if we can make that one, and we can pop it up against the wall so that we can have a little look at it, and you can see that there's the andesite casing that we made, there's the little shaft, and there is our iron block. So you can see how the recipe makes sense. But right now, obviously, this is not doing anything. We need to be able to power it. And I'm not really going to go out right now and start making water wheels and such. Instead, we're just going to make the little hand crank to use it. So how do we make that one? Let's have a look. And crank. There we go. That's nice and easy. So we're just needing 3 planks of any description and 1 of our andesite alloys. Do I have enough planks? Oh, just. Let's have a look. There we go. So we've now got ourselves a little hand crank. This will then slot onto the shaft that you can see just there. And when you right click onto that hand crank and you hold down the mouse button, you'll notice that it spins round and round. And if we put something underneath it that it can actually work with, such as one of our iron ingots, so we'll just chuck one down there. And then again, holding right mouse button over the crank, it'll go round and round, and we're going to give that little thing a squidge. There we go. We have made an advancement. We have bonked something, and we now have ourselves a nice iron sheet. But of course, our recipe for our saw doesn't need 1 iron sheet. I believe it needed 4 of them. Was it 4? It was 3, so it needs 3 iron sheets in order for us to make this little mechanical saw. So we'll get a few more of these ones squashed down. I'll just pop 3 more underneath there. No, wait. I need 2 more underneath there if I've already got one. So we'll pop 2 there, and then again we can just hold down onto the crank and it will go round and round until everything has been squidged up. There we go. That should be those ones together. And then I think we needed another andesite casing too. Oh, hang on, we were on the saw. We did. Oh no. I'm out of wood. Right, okay, let's go and cut down a tree. Right, there. Tree acquired. So we've got our log again, and again we can just strip that one down, and then we can right click on it with our alloy. Again, making our little andesite casing. Then take that one up, and we should be able to combine these now to make our saw. So we needed our casing, our iron ingot, and then surrounding that with our sheets. There we go. We now have a mechanical saw, and the great thing about this is that it has got that little shaft input at the end, and so it's going to work with the same crank that we've been using on our mechanical press. We can just take that one off, and we'll take it with us to go and cut down some trees. Okay, so here we are, back on the other side away from our island again, and let's get chopping down some of these trees. So we can use our little saw, we can come up to the base of these trees, and then if we crouch and then right click up against the base of the tree, we can use our hand crank once again on the back of that one, holding down the right button, which is going to cut through the base of the tree, and it's going to fall down. There we go, and the whole thing comes down, saplings and all, so much easier than using an axe. And this is the big benefit of having this saw. It just makes everything so much easier. But now I can go through all of these, and I am going to slowly cut down a goodly chunk of this forest. Okay, so I have got a little bit of wood. I did manage to find, actually, when I was over there cutting down those trees, which I've started to replant as well, I did find some spruce and some dark oak, so I've brought those back, and that has slightly increased the building palette, so it's not going to be quite so oak and birch heavy. But I now need to work out how much I actually need for my design. So what I've done is I've actually built my little starter base in a creative world, and I'm going to Schematic Cannon it into this world. And if you're wondering what a Schematic Cannon is, it is quite literally a cannon that shoots schematics. Schematics being a blueprint of a build that you've already made. So because I've already made it in another world, what I need to do is just find out exactly what the recipe is for that build. And to do that, what I need to make is a schematic table. So that is just here, as you can see. So we have got slabs of any kind, and then we're going to need smooth stone, which is basically double-baked cobblestone. So if we take some of our cobble, and we will find where we've actually got something we can cook it up with. You will do. Give me my fish. What we'll do is we'll bake this down. It will become stone, and then we'll bake the stone down, and that's going to become smooth stone for us. And there we go. Okay, so if we now combine this with some slabs, which I don't have, but I can make some up, we should then be able to make ourselves a little schematic table. And this can be put absolutely anywhere. It doesn't need to go anywhere specific. I'll pop it in there for now because it kind of fits. And next we need to make the cannon itself. So if we just have a little look and have a look at our recipe. There is our cannon. And one thing which I did actually forget about this is you do need to be able to craft a dispenser to make the cannon, which means you are going to need to have gone and found redstone, which is why I have had to go mining and go and fetch myself some. But now I've got everything in the ingredients, so we should be able to just make ourselves a cannon. So we need our dispenser. Oh, hang on, first of all, we're actually going to need 2 iron blocks. Take those. Then we're going to pop our dispenser in. Then we have our smooth stone down at the bottom. And on top of those, we have our logs. And there we go. There is our little cannon. We can make him. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and place it outside. So this little cannon is going to be firing up onto this hill. The cannon has a huge range. I'm not worried at all about it not being able to cover this entire island. But for now, because I'm going to be building up there, I'm just going to pop my little cannon down just here. And then we're just going to need to make ourselves the actual schematic itself, so that we've got something to load our design onto, and we're going to need to make a clipboard as well so that we can see the ingredients. So we'll go for the actual schematic first, which I'm going to make by combining blue and white dye to make light blue dye. I'll just do that quickly. And we're also going to need some paper. And then if we combine paper with our light blue dye, that will give us 1 empty schematic. Just need 1, don't need the 2, so we can save those bits and pieces for later on. And then lastly now, we just need to make our clipboard, which I think I might actually have the ingredients for with me. Can I remember the ingredients? I cannot. Let's have a look. What do we need? Andesite alloy, paper and wood. That's easy enough. Just grab some wood, some paper and some andesite, and there we go. We now have the clipboard as well. And so what we can do from this point though is we can take our empty schematic, we can come over to our schematic table. You can see there, I have got my little starter shack. That is the saved schematic that I've got in there. When I place my empty one in there and then click go, it is going to load that onto this little schematic, which we can then take over to the cannon. So we'll take him outside. And what we're going to do is, you can see I've got this little blue box that has appeared. That is the actual size of my starter house. So if I come over here so I can see roughly what I'm doing, if I right click, it's going to appear in front of me. That's going to be my little starter house that you can see up there. And I just need to get that placed and positioned in the world somewhere that's going to make sense. So I want to still be able to access my little hole down here where I've currently got all of my stuff. Although eventually that is going to be the door to my storage. What I need to do is I just need to push this back a bit because it's kind of floating at the moment. And to do that, I am just going to have my cursor hovering over this face of this schematic box. Press down Control, and then I can use my wheel on my mouse just to push this backwards and forwards. So I'll just have a tinker around with this, and I'll put it somewhere where I think it looks kind of good. And in all honesty, I think I've decided I actually quite like it exactly where it is. There's no particular reason for it to, for example, face another direction. I could be spinning it around, but this is going to be the central part of the island, so it might as well all face this way. And all I've done really then is I've just lined up this area here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks. And I've just lined that up with my pink door there so that when I bring that stonework down, it'll all sort of fit together. And just to point out as well, this looks like it's a completely solid building, but it's not. It is still just a schematic. It's just to show you roughly what it would look like, and I can sort of walk through it and clip through all of these little faces and things, just so you can get an idea of where you want to place your buildings. But I think I'm quite happy with this one where it is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come back over to my Cannon and I'm going to load the schematic into it. So if I just right click on the Cannon itself, that brings up the Cannon interface, and then if I place my little schematic just in there, it says it's out of gunpowder. That's fair enough, I'll go and fetch it some in a minute. But at least the schematic is loaded, so now when I place my clipboard just up here, it's going to load all of the ingredients that I need in order to make that building. Just to point out though, once it's in the Cannon, your schematic will disappear, so you have to just kind of remember roughly where it was. But now if I right click on my clipboard, I have a full list of ingredients of everything I now need to go and fetch in order to build this building. Which isn't too bad. I have tried to keep everything to materials nice and easy for me to gather around me. Okay, so this should be the last few bits and pieces now that I need just to finish off this design. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come back over to my Cannon and I'm going to pop this checklist back in just to make sure that everything is still ticked off from it. What I've done is I have worked my way through, and as I have put things into the chests, I've just been ticking them off on this little checklist. So everything now has a green tick, everything is in place. We are good to go. And so the only other thing left to do now is I'm just going to take this schematic out and I'm just going to have one last little look at it, just make certain, yep, that is definitely still where I want it to be. And then it can go back in, and the last thing to do is just to add some gunpowder to the Cannon so that it can actually shoot, because this is what it uses as its fuel source. There we go, and that will tell us how many shots it can fire. So it's got 1,999 already in there, and it's got getting on for 3,500 and a bit additionally as well. So that should be absolutely plenty in order to build this little house. And so without further ado, let's do it. Let's set off our Cannon and let's get our little house made. And there you have it though. It may be run down, it may be a bit of an old shack, but it is going to be home for this new world for the foreseeable future. So if I just bounce our way up, now that it's a nice solid house we can actually walk on, we've got ourselves our little main room with our storage. Bed could be moved up here. We've got a whisk up here as well, because I tend to like to have those around. And there's also a little mechanical press downstairs. If I just run down here. Whoop, don't fall down there. This all needs to get cleared out, but there we have a little mechanical press as well. And we'll go through these bits and pieces in later episodes. They're being powered by water wheels just there and a windmill on the top. But I have to admit, you know, that I am rather pleased with my little rundown shack. I think it's going to make a fine new home. But it is very much only the beginning. This is just the start of this world, and we're going to be building up to much more grandiose things on that hill behind us. For now though, I really hope you've enjoyed this first little episode on this brand new Create world. And if you did enjoy it, do please consider giving the video a like, as it really helps out tiny little channels like this one. Either way though, happy Minecrafting everyone, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye!